You know what, Ian? We're knee deep into July here.
We are.
So we're gonna pull an audible, something we haven't done before. We're gonna talk about the second Patreon poll choice here. Favorite things at the start of the summer, and where are you a beach kid?
You go first.
Don't call me when I'm talking about the summer here.
I am not super fond of summer, but I can talk about summer. You go first.
The start.
This is the topic you've been wanting. I wanted the books.
This is Pat's fetish topic.
I wanted the books. You wanted the summer. So go summer.
Maybe I'll get in the mood. I was talking with someone the other day. I got to read more. Smartphones have ruined reading for me, by the way. Before smartphones, I was reading 3, 4, 5 books a year. Now I'm like, what's a book? I'll get back to that. All right. The start of the summer. Favorite things about the start of summer, Ian? The last week of school. We're talking like grade school. You're being like 11, 12 years old. That's like 13.
Oh, the excitement is electric.
It's fucking great because you don't like. There's barely any work anymore.
The teachers have given up.
The teachers gave up. See, I went to Catholic school, so we always got a little bit earlier. We were done by like the first and a half week. We were done by like June 10th. We were done. None of this. When I hear people, we don't get out till like June 28th. I'm like, I'm out like early June, asshole.
And then they're back like August 1st. Like summer breaks ain't what they used to be.
I went back after Labor Day like everyone else.
I know. I'm saying modern times.
Oh, modern times.
Saying summer breaks are not what they used to be.
We got almost 3 full months. We got like 11 weeks of summer as a kid. It was beautiful. Public school still went for a few more weeks. Assholes. Anyway, so the last week of school was just like it was fucking nothing. It was brilliant. You came into school, you did like your little arts and crafts bullshit even when you're 11 or 12. It was like wrap-up time. You found out, you got your report card the last day of school. You found out, what class you're going to go to. That was kind of sad. You're like, we're not going to be in the same class here. They kept most of the same kids together year over year. I think like I'd say 2/3 of the kids, if you were in, we had 2 or 3 classes from like, once you got to 7th grade, I went to 2 classes, but we had 3 classes, A, B, and C, like 6 A, B, and C. They kept most of the same kids together. I think they broke up problem kids here and there and clicked a little bit.
That's where most of your, I was going to say, most of your changes in Catholic, that was
75% crossover class to class. But you still saw the same kids on recess or, it was fine for what it was. You were still in the same buses and things like that. That was fun, getting that last report card, which used to be the last day or next to last day of school at my Catholic school. But we had outdoor activities. It was never the final week of school. It was like 3 to 4 weeks away. It was like mid-May, Ian. They had like a 1 day of outdoor activities.
Yeah.
It was.
We had a field day.
There was always field day. It was field day. We had field day.
Yeah.
We had field day. 1 day of just nothingness. Where we had a bunch of like relay races.
It's fucking juice boxes and bologna sandwiches.
And pudding pops. That's what it was. It was pudding pops. Jello pudding. I'll never forget that.
And letting the kids tear the fuck around.
Yes. It was like outside of it wasn't a seminary. It was the little area where the priests live. There was a big field there, and that's where we did everything. We had like activities that whole field day. That was about a month before school ended. But that last week of school you did nothing and liked it. Mm-hmm. And everyone knew it was nothing. There was no more tests. Tests were done that week before at the latest because they had to prepare the final grades for the report card there. It was a great time. You felt like there was nothing else to worry about the entire world that last week of school. Like the anticipation of summer was better than summer itself.
Yeah.
Knowing you had free time and no school was better than actually having it.
Because I used to be a smoker, I don't know why. That's a weird way to bring this up. I call something like that smoker's confidence. When you get a brand new pack of cigarettes, you've got smoker's confidence because you've got 20 fucking cigarettes in there and you're not running out.
Oh, that nicotine.
You're not running out until later. Well, kids get summer confidence at the end of the school year. And they're like, nothing can stop me. 3 months is an infinite amount of time. I never have to go to school again.
Yes.
But those last 2 weeks of summer break get fairly painful.
We're not talking about that because that's the worst part of my life is late August.
Okay.
Fucking shoot you. We're talking about the happy of summer.
All right.
So that was great. But then there was always the about a week and a half after school was let out, we always had the little summer fair.
Yes, I was going to bring that up.
Not all schools, a lot of schools and Catholic schools had a week of that.
So when I was in Catholic school, I would, like, after third grade, they would, or like fourth grade, they would start bringing you in the summer for the vacation Bible school shit. You could be like an assistant to Vacation Bible School.
Never heard of that.
Well, it was interesting because Vacation Bible School, I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. It's going to be fucking dumb. I don't want to learn about Jesus. And no, it ends up just being like a week of field days where like basically
with some light reading of the Bible.
Yeah, with like make a popsicle stick crucifix. Okay, we've done the Jesus stuff for the day. Let's run around and play dodgeball.
Oh,
like,
great.
Yeah. It was. I enjoyed doing that for a couple years in my summertime youth. But
no, we had the fair, and you volunteered for confirmation. I worked the fair, but the fair was great because the fair was like the last chance to see all the kids come back together for the summer that you just saw. Because the kids, when you're in grade school and there's like 50 to 60 kids on your grade, like it was in my school, you're not going to see 3/4 of them. You're not going to see. You might see like 10 or 12 the whole summer that you're friends with. They're kind of no friends of friends. And you're certainly not going to see most of the girls. Like it'd be so rare if you saw a girl like, oh my God, we're hanging out with a couple of the girls, here, or you see them. So it was the last chance to see them and hang out at the summer fair, and it was great. It was a whole week, and you had wristband day. They used to do wristband day. It was always like the Tuesday or Thursday because no one goes in those days. It ran Monday to Sunday, the fair. That's what they ran, Monday to Sunday. So Tuesday and Thursday was like $12. You get all the ride all the rides you want for like $12, which was like fantastic when you're like 13 years old. And we had real rides. They got the Gravitron there.
I love a Gravitron.
I love the Tilt-A-Whirl. Tilt-A-Whirl can be one of my favorite rides. The little ones go around and it goes around like that. You spin it. Tilt-A-Whirl. The Himalayas I love. We had some pretty real rides. We had the House of Mirrors. We had a couple. We always had at least 2 fun houses. We had some decent
fun
rides.
Houses were good too.
For a little Catholic school, like we had some, and obviously they made a ton of money. They had the raffles and things like that. They had a money wheel, Ian.
A money wheel
that when I went back when I was in my mid-20s, I outsmarted them a bit, and then they got the nun that spun it. I saw her strength. I kind of would, in my head, know about where it was going to end up, and I won like. They figured that out within a couple hours. Anyway, but you're betting dollars. You're winning dollars.
Sure.
But it was a fun time there.
Did you ever have a cakewalk at the summer fairs?
We had the beer garden. We had the cakewalk.
Cakewalk was something that they did at the public school that I went to, where basically a bunch of people you would volunteer and bake cakes. And you would go take them, and then the cakewalk was like you bought a ticket, and you would go in. And it was like musical chairs, and you would walk around a circle. And when the song stopped, you'd look where you were standing, and you could win cakes. And I remember like going home with
cakes.
Yeah, I remember going home with like banana bread and German chocolate cakes, and like, oh yeah, it was insane.
That's a weird sort of.
It is. It's fucking. It's strange.
Hopefully, it was good and it gets you sick. Some of that stuff.
It was awesome. No, we're talking that this was like the late 80s, early 90s. People weren't poisoning the cakes.
Weren't poisoning. Yeah, it's funny. Looking at dodgeball. Dodgeball's banned now, but my Catholic school, we played dodgeball almost every other week. I don't understand why dodgeball got banned. I guess it's all because you can feel intimidated by it. It's like, dodgeball was fun.
Dodgeball was
Then again,
great.
we used the foam. We used these hard foam balls that we didn't use. You couldn't get hurt with these. What were those balls? They were like foam hard balls we used, but they were so. I mean, you couldn't get knocked out by them. We weren't using soccer balls or volleyballs. We weren't doing that.
Right.
That's a little more dangerous. It was safety. We played 10-pin dodgeball, which I don't think is a thing, but we made it up.
No, we played that too.
Was there like a gym teacher's like mail away booklet guide in order to get activities that we all had then?
Yeah. I'm sure there was. I'm absolutely certain there was a mailer that went around to all the various schools, and they were like, try these fucking games with your kids.
Buy these foam pins for 10-pin dodgeball with the ball set. Yeah.
Well, what's the hot dodgeball variant this year?
That was hot because you had to knock down the pins to win, and that was a lot easier than getting everyone else out. It was not happened. Other things about the start of summer. Lightning bugs. If you're in the East Coast, that was more like late June, early July. Though you get the lightning bugs out. You had to have fireflies. We call them lightning bugs. That was always a great. We're in summer, and plus now the days are getting. It gets dark at like 7:30 now. It's like fantastic.
Did you ever play Red Rover?
Yeah, we played Red Rover.
Vicious fucking game.
Nothing to do with the start of summer though, but yeah, we played Red Rover.
I was just thinking, yeah, I know. No,
we played it on the playground, girls and boys. It's one of the few games that girls and boys play together.
What a fucking crazy game that was.
Oh, try to break through my arms.
Yeah. Just throw your entire body
as fast as you can. Hopefully you don't tear my elbow joint apart
at this human link.
Other things about the start of summer, we had the little Jimmy truck that would come around. Good humor became later on. When I was a kid, though, we had Little Jimmy's, which was Italian ice.
We
not
were-
water ice or not lemon ice, Italian ice. And back when we were a kid, it was like 20. It's so quaint. Now we're old men. 25 cents for like a smaller medium, and like $1 for a jumbo one. We're talking like late 80s. It was so cheap for that. And you get, I want a red and green. You get the 2 or 3. Chocolate was a popular Italian ice flavor with Little Jimmy. There was a chocolate flavor for a time. And whenever you hear that come around, it was like always around like 1 or 2. You run in and ask your mom for change. I'll never forget that as long as I live. I'm guessing that's still a thing. They still have ice cream trucks. They have them in San Diego here.
They do. I hear one that goes by my.
They're not Italian ice though. They're just like good humor bars and things.
When I was growing up, I was firmly a little softy neighborhood. It was always Mr. Softy.
Mr. Softy.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said about that, like that, where you're just playing. You're in the summer. You're on the freaking 120-degree asphalt of your street playing wiffle ball or street tennis, or we played a bunch
fucking
of
street tennis.
Freeze.
The hardest shit.
Yes, it was. Or freeze tag. We played poison bottle, which was an alternative form of freeze tag, which I don't know who the hell made that up. But Little Jimmy comes around, you hear it in the distance. Whoa, it's like 5 blocks away. You had like that minute and a half to run in, find some loose change, come out and get your Italian ice to cool off in the summer. I'll never forget that. Was I a beach kid? Yes. We had the shore house in Seaside Heights. We used it maybe 3 or 4 times a year since it was all divided up for my grandma. My mom had like 4 siblings, so we had divided up. And yes, I was a beach kid. I loved going to the beach. I loved going in the water, even though it was so cold. It was 55 degrees. I'd come out, have blue lips. I loved going in the water. I loved the beach as a kid. I just loved it. I don't know why. I love making sandcastles. I go in the water for 45 minutes at a time, which probably wasn't safe. It was a hypothermia risk. My parents had to drag me out of the water. I went out far as a kid. I was trying to think. I went out a little too far as a kid. I was a decent swimmer, but not good enough to go out that far where the undertow takes you out a little bit. Like, oh shit. No, love the beach. How about you? Were you a beach kid? Did you go to the beach?
Fucking hate the beach. I've hated the beach my whole life. The one time that I kind of decided I liked the beach was after graduating high school. The summer after I graduated, we went to go visit my asshole uncle in Virginia.
Okay.
And we went to, what's the fucking beach there?
Virginia Beach?
Virginia Beach.
That's one of them?
Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach?
A fucking beach. And I bought a boogie board. And
I didn't have a boogie board. I wanted one.
Holy fuck! I had the most fun I had ever had in my entire life at the beach. Holy crap!
Yeah.
Boogie boarding was great. I picked it up immediately. I'm catching waves. I'm getting rocketed into the fucking sand. It's
boarding.
awesome.
Great.
And I got the worst sunburn of my entire fucking life.
Ian.
I got the worst sunburn of my entire life. I ended up walking around fucking historic Williamsburg or whatever.
Williamsburg
next
is
day, like
sucking,
this.
by the way.
I was blistered. It sucked. I was blistered everywhere. I couldn't move.
Your parents didn't make you put on sunscreen?
They did, but I was fucking 17. I should have known to reapply.
You were 17? You got
I graduated high school. I should have known to
my
reapply.
God.
I didn't. I was having too much fun with the water. I was like, I finally enjoy the water. And then, so I hated it for ages and ages and ages. And then like,
It's not the sun's fault.
about 7 years ago, 8 years ago, maybe even 10 years.
Boogie board
This
is
is
so
pre-Vonnie. Jesus, I've been out in San Diego for a while. This is pre-Vonnie. I had one summer.
It's been a while.
I had one summer where I was working at the O Bistro when it was still there. And I would get out of work and I would run down to the beach, drop my shit on the sand, and go for a swim.
Okay.
And it was great. It was a thing I was getting into. I was like, maybe again, maybe I'm at the point where I can really like the beach. And then I did that for about 2 weeks, and I stepped on something, and it went blah, 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 and wiggled underneath my foot, and I got out of that water so fucking fast and never went back in.
Did you get stung or was it just...
No, it was just disgusting.
Was it an eel?
I don't know what it was. I didn't take the time to fucking find out. I just fucking literally yelped. I yelped and I ran as fast as I could out of the water.
That was it.
And I got my shit, and I have not been back in the ocean since.
Wow, good thing you weren't going to Ocean City, Maryland, with all the huge horseshoe crabs in the water.
Fuck it.
Step on one
Fuck
of those by
that.
accident.
Jesus Christ.
My mom one time in Ocean City, Maryland, she said, "Look at this stone!" And she picked up an horseshoe crab by the tail and screamed. I was like, "Mom, you know there's horseshoe crabs in the water. They're our friends. What are you doing?" I loved Ocean City, Maryland, because it was almost like a foreign land. That's the beginning of the South when you get to Maryland. Remember that. That's the Mason-Dixon line. you start to see Confederate flags in store shops in Ocean City, Maryland there. But Ocean City, Maryland was just foreign enough for a beach area and just different enough that we liked it, because there's wild horses down in Maryland that go back to the fucking
Wild horses.
They go back to the fucking like early 1600s, whatever. When they first brought horses over here, and they roam free there. And there was like that weird. There was a Western land you go to that was like just for Western reenactments, and never forget, there was just weird enough shit there, and the ocean was just different enough that you enjoyed it. And yeah, my father loved going to like the Alaskan king crab buffet and would spend literally hours there with my uncle, things like that.
But eat as much crab as possible.
Yes, he really got his money's worth for all you can eat there. I remember going back to that same buffet when we went to Ocean City, Maryland, like 2 or 3 times in my 20s, and met up with one of my Unreal Tournament buddies there too, along with my cousin. Anyway, so I remember Ocean City, Maryland being a fun time when I was young. Went there a few times when I was a kid, and I brought the games that I borrowed from my grandfather's neighbor. He's the one who had like 150 NES games still, I remember. And to this day, my Paperboy manual that I have in my copy is the same Paperboy manual I forgot to give back to him when I basically took that game and Jeopardy. For some reason I decided as a kid, out of all the games, Jeopardy, Paperboy, and maybe Ninja Gaiden are the 3 games I borrowed, and that was it. Those are 3 out of all the games he had. Those are 3 games that I borrowed from him. I loved Paperboy as a kid, though. Loved the NES games. Good port of that game. Anyway, another thing in terms of being a beach kid, obviously the Boardwalk. I can talk about the Boardwalk experiences for forever. I will just talk about this experience though on the Boardwalk. We would ride our bikes from Lavalette to Point Pleasant Boardwalk because, Ian, they had the best pinball games. And they had the Star Wars, that first Williams pinball that came out, what was it, 92, the DMD one about. They had the high score was set for only like 25 million. On 1 quarter, then you can play for like 4 games because it would go from 25 to 50 to like 700. Right. We played for hours that pinball machine on like $2 or $3. Like it was so fun. And I'll never forget that though, that my cousin, damn you Chris, he took the boy's bike, which was his. I took the sister's bike, which had the skinnier seat. My ass was so chafed I could not sit down on that bike going home. Or maybe it was a cheap seat. I'll never get that. As long as I living, my ass was so sore on that seat coming back because it was like probably 6 to 7 miles of a bike ride. But when you're a kid, you're like 12 years old. That's a long way to go when you're a kid on the road there.
Yeah,
especially when I was thick but quick Pat, I was out of shape. I couldn't keep up with my athletic, soccer playing cousin as well.
I remember going on a 10-mile bike ride for Weeblos or Cub Scouts or something.
You want to die.
And I was like, wow, that's the longest I've ever done any one thing for a... Yeah, it was insane.
You want to die when you're like 12-year-old doing something like that, 12 or 13 years old. So, Boardwalk stories could be in a whole other conversation. I mean, there's tons of Boardwalk stories I have, and that's part of the summer. Playing the nickel game. I don't know how this was legal, letting a 9-year-old give, for the nickel game the slots, and it pushes them over, you get the tickets to come out the machine. I did that for one summer, Casino Pier. And that's where I won this big spotty in. Casino Pier, Seaside Heights. That's where I won that from.
Really?
From points. Yeah, that's where that little guy's from. So I'll have that as long as I live. I'll never forget that.
Nice.
That's like 20,000 points for that damn thing. It's probably like $40 worth of points for that little guy. But that's literally probably 30 years old. That spot right there, back when he was popular. Any other stories? Summer stories? Did you play any good hot wiffle ball action as a kid?
No.
Any tournaments? Did you get any fights in the summer?
Summer when I was younger always reminded me. We can probably pass on Q&A this week at this point.
No, we got time for a Q&A.
Summer. Well, then I'm stopping. Let's move on to Q&A.
Do the summer then. Come on. Okay, let me hear you.
Something that I remember very clearly from summer was always going to the Chautauqua County Fair. For most of my teenage life and my adult life, I did not care for the fair again until a few years ago. But my dad's professor, that he was, in very good standing with in college, would invite him, my mom, and my brother and I out to his place in Dunkirk, Fredonia, every summer to go to the Chautauqua County Fair. And Dunkirk is just beautiful. Like it's gorgeous. It's a palatial, like very, very green, very nice area of New York.
Okay.
And I used to always remember going to that fair, and that's where all my favorite fair memories are. That's where I first rode the Gravitron and was like, this is an amazing ride. It's where I remember having like my first Hawaiian ices, slightly different than a snow cone. It's also where I got my first heat rash. That was miserable. But something that I've wanted to do a billion times since that I haven't it was the one and only time I went to a destruction derby. One of the years that he had us
Demolition
down.
derby?
Yeah, one of the years he had us down, there was a demolition. We went down during demolition derby time, and he bought my family tickets to it, and we went, and it was so much fun to watch. And I always say, and Vonnie's always like, yep, absolutely. We got, like, when things go back to normal, I'm gonna find, like, there's got to be a touring demolition derby that comes around, or something like that. There's got to be something in the area.
So it's on Lake Erie.
Yes.
You can retire there, Ian. You can buy a house for $40,000. Holy shit. You can buy a mansion for like a couple $100,000 there. Yeah, looks like a quiet place to live. Nice and quiet.
It's very quiet, very
scenic.
pretty, very, very scenic.
Nice cold winters though. Oh, the cold winters off that water there are probably brutal.
Yeah, most likely.
It's one of those. It's one of those like small town murder mystery towns. It looks like, right? That's what it looks like to me.
It could be that. It could be the setting for an episode of Murder, She Wrote.
Yes. I mean, it's a lot of those things like, oh, it's we're on the water up north somewhere where it gets cold in the winter, but it's a nice place to live.
It's a place where if there was a murder, it would rock the community.
You can buy a 4-bed, 2-bath house for only $44,000. What the fuck am I doing living in San Diego? 44, or you can buy
questions I've been asking myself.
Oh, it's a nice place to live here too. All right.